So in this video, I want to show you how to graph the data from your factors affecting rates of reactions lab, this iodine clock reaction. So you're going to need your data that you either got from the video or that you collected in class. So first thing you have to do is a few calculations. So part one in your analysis, you need to make this table in a Google Sheet. So open up a Google Sheet, make this, set this up. Your mixture number, the volumes, both volumes of A and C, and the time are what you should be taking from your data up here. And the procedure, the concentrations of these, you're going to have to calculate as that substance is diluted. So there's a calculation you're going to have to do there. So once you get that data in, then we can graph it. Notice that mine right here, this is just sample data. This is not from your actual lab. So do not use this data. Don't type it in. All right, so the first graph we want to make from this is when we change solution A, what happens to the time. So we're going to put, it says right here, the concentration of iodine. So A is going to be on our y-axis, and then the time will be on the horizontal or the x-axis. All right, so this is 1 through 4 for our mixtures, because after 1 through 4, that's when we changed C and kept A constant. So I'm going to make a little table over here that's going to be just the data I'm graphing. So I'm going to do X on the left, Y on the right. So I'm going to write time in seconds, and then concentration of A, or you could write iodine either way, moles per liter. Okay. Let's see, my time, I'm just going to copy this 1 through 4 mixtures. So Control C is copy, and then I'm going to paste it right here, Control V. And then for the concentration of A, I'm going to copy those 4 and put those here, Control V. Okay, so this is the data I'm going to graph. So I'm going to highlight all of this, and then I'm going to go up here to this little icon, it's Insert Chart. You can also find it over here under Insert Chart right here. Same thing, 2 spots. Okay, so it pops up. A lot of it's already there. This might be exactly what you need. It might not be. You can move this around also if you need to see different things. So let's check over here. Your chart type should be on a scatter plot, okay, or scatter chart. If it's not, change that. You should have time on your X, concentration of A on your Y. If we go to Customize, in Chart Axis and Titles, we can change our axes labels. So time is in seconds, concentration of A is moles per liter, because that's what I put here. Google's so smart, it figured it out. It gave me a title, concentration of A versus time. That would work. It could also be something like rate as the concentration of IA or iodine changes. Anything like that would work. If you want to get fancy, you could add more grid lines or different ones. Like personally, I think this should start at 0. So I'm going to go to my horizontal axis. My minimum value, I'd like it to be 0. And it should just update right away. Okay, so there's my graph. And I think we're pretty much good. So I can just close this. I can move it as needed. All right, if you're like, oh shoot, I forgot to do this. If you click on those 3 dots right here, you can edit your chart and all those come back up. You can also then from here easily cut and paste this to, or copy and paste it and put it into your analysis. If I do Control C and then go to here, here's your graph, Control V. We can link it, and it should be there like so. Make it a little smaller so it fits a little nicer. Okay. And then this will allow me or you to go to the actual spreadsheet where it came from. All right, so you're going to do the same for mixtures 1, 5, 6, and 7, because those are going to be when C changes. So if I do that quickly, I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to make a similar right here. I'm just going to do this. Put them right here. And this is going to be, though, the concentration of C. Right, so when we change C, make this a little wider. Okay, so times, this is 1, and then 5, 6, and 7. So I'm going to do time for 1, concentration for 1, mixture 1, and then I'm going to do my times for 5, 6, and 7, and my concentrations for those as well. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing I just did. I'm going to highlight that and insert my chart just like the last one. And my labels come up, my title comes up, you can see my points. And if you want to change your axis to start at 0, go ahead just like I did before. Okay. Okay, so now let's look at, so that was this graph right here. So parts 2 and 3, you're going to put the data on the same graph. So you're going to do, it says temperature on the vertical, time on the horizontal. Same here, but we're going to have points, data sets for our data that was not catalyzed. So how does temperature affect the rate? And then we're going to look at the same or similar temperatures and then look at the rate there when they have a catalyst is added. So there is a way to do all this in one chart, and I'm just going to move these out of the way. Oops, farther out of the way. Come on. All right. Oops, this is what I'm going to do, so I'm going to delete it and start over for you. Okay, so here is my data that I typed in that you will need to, again, my sample data. For no catalyst, how long it took and the temperature of each of those, and then with a catalyst, how long it took and the temperature for those. So notice I have temp on the X, or sorry, time on the X and temp on the Y. All right, so I'm going to make a new table that I'm going to graph, just like we did up above. So it's going to be time and seconds on the X. I'm going to do temp and Celsius on the Y. All right, so I'm going to add all of my time. So I'm going to just highlight these and paste them. Then I'm going to put the temps that go with those. Oops, actually. Shoot. Sorry, guys. I messed it up. Okay. Let's try that again. Okay. So let's add all of these. Okay, but I'm going to clarify. This is the temp for no catalyst. And this is going to be the temp for the catalyst. Okay, so let's add these now. Put those in the time. Now these temps are going to go over here. Okay, so it doesn't really matter where my cursor is. I'm going to insert my chart. And this one you're going to have to do a little bit more work for it. Okay. It thinks it knows what we're doing because I did this before. So I'm going to pretend it looks like yours would. Okay. So you'll probably have this with no data depending on what you clicked on. Okay. So we want it to be a scatter chart. So make sure it's on that if it's not. And then I'm going to move this so I can see my data somehow. There we go. All right, so I'm going to add my x-axis. So when I click on this, and then I got to click on the little waffle here, and I'm going to select my x-axis. So that is my time. So I'm going to add all of these. Click OK. All right, now we have to add our y series. So I'm going to add a series. I'm going to click on the waffle again, and I'm going to add this first one all the way down. Okay. And then I'm going to add another series, hit the waffle, and now I'm going to highlight these. Okay, so now when I look at my chart, graph, they call it a chart. All right, you should kind of have two different colors, and you can manipulate all that if you'd like. Here's my catalyst data set. Here's my no catalyst data set. It's going to give you some kind of title. You might want to change that. You're for sure going to need to, for this one, add in your access labels. So customize, and then you can change your chart title, You can change your horizontal axis. So horizontal was time in seconds. I'm going to change my vertical to temp in Celsius. Let's see, they both start at 0. That works. If you want more grid lines, you can manipulate that. This would be, and we're not going to for this, but if this was a graph where you had a scatter plot and you were finding like a line of best fit, let's say, if you went to series, this would be where you'd add a trend line, and you may have to do this at some point in another lab or in another data set. All right, so that's how you're going to graph your data for your factors affecting rates lab.